This is my mom and dad, Mary and Jeff. This is my sister, Tessa. This is me, Colin. In 2013, my family moved into a brand new home that we had constructed on previously undeveloped land in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We had no idea that in doing so, we would be putting ourselves into the center of a dangerous haunting that would go on to haunt each member of our family for years to come and even through the present day. What you will see and hear in this documentary is real. Be prepared. Now that we've sold our house, I can finally tell our story. So, you two introduce yourselves.
I'm Jeff Brown.
And I'm Mary Erickson Brown.
How long have you guys been married?
26 years?
27.
27 years.
27.
And you guys think this house is haunted?
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
We had the land with my clinic building down the hill, and we had 2 homes up here that we had moved. We donated them to a charity, and we created 3 lots. And then the middle lot here was not really existent. And so we own land like behind this lot, if you will, and the guy that owned this lot owned a strip of that prevented us from accessing that lot. So that's why we bought the 2 homes, rezoned it all, and then we built our home on this middle lot. And then basically that happened in 2012, 13, we moved in. And so the lot to the west of us is still empty, and the lot next to us now, they've just built a home on it this year.
But basically you built the whole house.
Yeah, brand new house.
Nothing weird or sketchy about building or anything.
No.
Just seemed like a normal house.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what was moving in like?
It was great moving in. This was our first house that we built, and it was kind of our dream house. So we were totally excited. Everything went really well. The move went really well. We were just moving boxes kind of towards the end of the move, and that's when something started to happen.
So what was the first memory you have of something paranormal happening here?
I remember when we were moving, going back and forth between our old house and this house, and we left Tessa here, and Jeff and I went back for another load. And when we came back, she was hiding in her closet, crying and saying that she heard voices and somebody doing dishes, and she was wondering if I was here. And we said no, we had gone to the old house, and she tried to take her screen off and get out of her room. And at the time, we just thought, okay, maybe she's going through something with the move. Not sure really what to think about everything she was saying.
But it only got worse from there.
Yes.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tessa. I'm Colin's sister.
How old are you?
Restart. Hi, wait. Hi, my name is Tessa. I'm Colin's sister. I'm 18, and I'm about to be a freshman in college.
What is your first impression of the house when we first moved in? Doesn't have to be ghostly.
I was really excited to see how the new house would turn out, and I was really excited for the future.
What was the first experience that you had here?
The first experience I had was when we first moved in, and my parents had gone back to our old house to get more boxes and more of our things. So I decided to stay back in the new house and wait for them. So I was waiting in my bedroom unpacking my new stuff when I started hearing dishes clinking in the kitchen and all different kinds of noises and even water running. And so basically I got super freaked out and I locked my bedroom door and started freaking out, tried to call my parents, but basically I just kept hearing dishes clinking around like someone was doing dishes in the kitchen. So I locked my door and started crying and tried to get out of my bedroom, my bedroom window, and took the screens off. But there was no one there outside my room, and I thought someone was in the house.
What happened next? What do you guys remember?
So what I remember is really Colin and Tessa coming to us and saying that they were hearing, I think it was really mainly male voices,
Men's
coming from down their bedroom hallway. And also I think at that time there was some things with Colin, like seeing shadows or maybe crawling on the floor at that time. So they constantly be coming into our bedroom at night, being afraid, sleeping in our bed with us. We didn't really quite believe it at first. Kind of like, it seemed kind of odd.
What started to happen?
Well, me and Colin both have had lots of experiences down at the end of our hallway, but our rooms have always been the hot spot of the house, we feel like. But I've had different things happen in my room and Colin's room, but I mean, I've just felt like there was someone there watching me sometimes. But I'd say, first of all, I've heard men's voices in my closet multiple times. I guess another time I also had been sleeping in my bed one night when all of a sudden I heard my computer start up again, and there was a movie that I was watching and it had popped up again on my computer when it was completely dead. So I just heard that come on at night one night and I was really freaked out, but my computer was completely dead. So I guess there was just little things that have happened in my room that have really freaked me out. But also, when you go over to Colin's bedroom, there's also been a lot of things that have happened, and I've heard crawling and clawing on the floors at nighttime in his room, and I've heard lots of different men's voices also over there. But I'd say the clawing is really creepy in Colin's room. So that's another crazy thing that's happened to both me and Colin, so it's quite a bit.
I think, it wasn't too long after that we kind of started to hear our own stuff. I think what really hit me actually was one night, like at 3 a.m. or so, the TV just came on, just blaring. It was like a fuzzy white screen. And then I think the smoke detector kept going off like every night, like it would go off for like 3 or 4 nights. And then we just started to hear things and thought that was really, and the dishes also, we heard that. I think that was kind of the end, really, actually, when we started to hear the dishes ourselves, was when we called Donna. But it started with Colin and Tessa, hearing those male voices at the end of the hall or in their bedroom. I know Colin definitely seen, like, that was creepy. I felt like a shadow crawling around his bed on the floor. That was a weird thing. But I think in the beginning, again, we kind of thought they were just kind of like, this can't really be true.
Well, we thought it was a brand new house.
Yeah.
So we're like, that, you guys, we can't be haunted if it's brand new.
Right, yeah.
And then they both started saying the same thing when they weren't together. So then it started to get a little bit strange.
Yeah.
What was, for both of you, the moment where you realized the house was haunted?
For me, I remember Colin saying he was home alone one afternoon, and he called us and was totally freaked out and said he heard a baby crying in the house, and he had been talking on the phone to one of his friends, and this friend had heard this noise too, and we kind of just brushed it off because, like, there's no baby in the house. And then probably the next day, Jeff was out in the garage, and he came in, and he said, I actually heard a baby in the garage. And so then you and I were, oh my gosh, maybe Colin did hear something. And I was helping Tessa a couple days later sitting by the island, just total silence, working on Spanish with her, and we totally heard a baby cry coming from down in the lower level. And so we each heard it on separate occasions and in different areas of the house. And after that, we never heard it again. But that totally...
Listen. There go the dogs barking. Weird timing. From downstairs.
Right.
Well, I mean, the baby was a big one. Yeah, so the way I remember it is more that you and Tessa heard it. I came home, and you're like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what's happened. And then you heard the baby cry. So I hadn't actually heard the baby until like maybe a day or two later. And I was going out of the garage, and it clearly a baby crying, like I'd say 2 seconds, 3 seconds at the most. And that was like a big one. Yeah, I would say that probably for me, the TV coming on and then the smoke detector going off night after night in a row. And finally, the clinking of the dishes for me when I thought actually somebody was out there in the dishes. And I actually got up out of the bed and I came back and I laid in bed with you and we're like, oh my, is that possible? Like, it's really a noise, like, and it was. So I think that was kind of the defining moment for me, is that kind of led up to that, when I went from, the TV was weird. I remember getting in bed saying, well, that was really weird. And, probably just something, electrical. And then the smoke detector, like I said, going off 2-3 nights in a row, and I got more freaked out. And then the dishes was kind of the end where I was like, okay, something's going on here.
Well, you may think you understand where this story begins. To tell the full truth here, we have to leave Sioux Falls, travel up to North Dakota, and step 2 years into the past.
This is the original, one of the only original buildings on the farm.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Shoot.
That is a good question. I have no idea.
Do you know anybody? Like, whose wood is this?
I don't know. I don't have any idea, but it's over 100 years old probably.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
That
And then that other little guy.
This is the crazier one to me, because a kid's shoe is pretty distinct. That was the husband and the wife's shoes,
Probably.
and they're still there. They're
Yes.
right there.
Probably. Uh-huh.
There's so many artifacts around here.
Horseshoes.
We are in your enchanted garden, right?
Yes.
So this, before we even did this was all forest.
Yes.
From basically here all through here. And over the years, you just carved through it all, created. What are your favorite features of the
I like it all. So.
Known as Enchanted Forest that she has set up is filled with all sorts of history. For example, what she has turned into the Harry Potter house was once the outhouse for the farm.
So much history, like, everywhere around here. Every place you look, there's something. Speaking of that, let's go take a look at the sheep.
Okay.
That's my favorite, obviously, part of the Enchanted Forest.
My apologies for the terrible audio here. Even with a shotgun microphone, the wind was so horrible that day and I didn't realize how badly it sounded. What Nona is saying here is that this wagon is the original wagon that the first members of our family rode to this farm on in order to settle the land. It's a crazy old piece of history just sitting in a patch of grass.
So this is your pride.
Yes.
This is your pride.
Yes.
The old chicken coop. Is this original?
It was used, I think, for different purposes, but maybe for the chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And then they probably used it for sheep, like Mary and Milo did when they were 4-H. They had sheep, and they kept a couple of them in here. And then we changed it over to a chicken coop, and they raised chickens in here. Then it became Halloween house.
Well, let's take a look.
Yes.
Why don't you let take us into the House of Horrors.
And thanks to Mary, she was very instrumental in getting it started. And then we added all of these guys, and we've had more fun out here. Every Halloween, we've been out here and told stories in our costumes.
Bring the kids out here for the party.
Yeah,
Tell what you were literally just saying.
good. That's good.
You know, when we were growing up, it was always my dad's brother said that, and there was a barn on the farm, and at night, and their father had passed away several years, but there was a lantern that would go from window to window after dark, and they would think that that was their father, but a lot of times they saw a lantern in the barn, and then they said they saw the devil behind the barn, which I don't believe that one, but I do believe that ghost story because we always heard that one a lot growing up.
Anything else? Any other ones you can think of?
I just know that Art, he was a big trickster, like you said,
he
with the
was.
sheet, playing a lot of, like he would tie like a rocking chair and tie a string to it and rock it and then say there was a ghost. Then this was an old story too, when Norman, my dad's dad, died. He had a heart attack,
Yes.
and then his sister in California, or where would she have been, or was she in Norway? But she saw a clear picture of him clutching his heart, and then she found out too that he had died. So there's something in
The family.
our family where you can, I don't know if you're seeing visions or if this person's appearing to you, but there's those stories that those people swear. And
Yes.
you've been in Fargo, and then you said that you did have that one, like you were in bed and then he would always come into bed, and then you kind of felt like something on the bed, sit down, like it was almost getting into
Sure.
bed.
Yeah.
After the chicken coop, I watched as Mary and Nona walked back to the farmhouse, and I couldn't help but reminisce on all of the amazing memories that I've had at the farm over the years. The place really does carry a peaceful energy.
Do you wanna just tell me about the energy of the farm and just how it feels to just be here?
I just always think the energy is really high energy with all of the farming going on and comings and goings and still so busy. And so I just think that it's high energy, just a lot of energy. And I think I just feel always like that, I don't know, that I feel like people are still around. Like I feel Norman here when I come, and I just always think about his brothers living here and just how we have such a connection to this land. So there is a lot of energy.
I also have always thought that the farm just has a really good energy around the area. Just being here feels really nice and very calm. Like right now in the morning, it's just beautiful out. It's bright and sunny, and it's just nice. And I actually had an experience here. It would have been 2 summers ago, where I was sleeping in the bedroom. Used to be your old bedroom, Mary's, my mom's, and I heard footsteps come up the stairs, and the stairs make a distinctive creak, you know? You step on like
Yeah.
the 3rd or 4th, and I heard those creaks, and then these footsteps came all the way up the stairs and then stopped right at the edge of the bedroom. And I thought Tessa, my sister, was going to come in and say something, or Mary, or, you know, whoever was in the house, and no one ever came in. And I actually have a phone clip on my phone because I started recording after that. It's like 16 minutes of just the darkness and silence, because I thought something was going to happen, but nothing ever happened, and I was pretty freaked out. So I don't know what that was, but it was very interesting to say the least.
See, here's the stairway, by the way, for my story. Here's the stairway. Watch this, I'll show you the creaky step. Right there. No matter how you hit it, it squeaks. And so does this one.
Later that night, we stopped by to see my cousins in Mayville, North Dakota, and I thought of asking them if they thought the farm is haunted. My cousin Simon's response was actually pretty shocking to me. Here's what he had to say.
Okay, Simon, so why don't you tell me what you feel about Nona's house since you're out there a lot?
Well, it's very creepy. It's more of a... Well, it's an old house and lots of dead things there. She has a bone pile. Downstairs basement's very creepy. It's just, you know, your average 93-year-old great-grandma's house.
What do you think about what were you telling me about the light too?
Oh, like if you turn on the light in the basement, and there's supposed to be one by the shower, like when you're taking a shower, sometimes it just flickers, so it's really creepy.
And you work out there alone a lot?
Yeah, like weeks at a time usually. So it's just really creepy.
Yeah.
What?
I don't like coming here late at night.
Why?
Well, 'cause it's
It's back on.
Oh my God, what the hell? It's back on, Mom.
So we had just left the Clifford school earlier that night, and we were driving back towards Nona's farm when we noticed a light on the side of the road turn off. Now that's strange in itself, but just check out what this EVP seems to be saying. To me, it sounds like someone literally talking about the light being real. It's crazy that it sounds like it says light, because at the time that we recorded this EVP, we were discussing the light shutting off on its own and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think about this one in the comments below.
It's back on.
Oh my God, what the hell? It's back on, Mom.
It's back on.
Oh my God.
It's back on.
Oh my God, what the hell? It's back on, Mom. How many times have we said this in our video? Going to enter the church that Nona goes to a lot. It's right down the street from her farm, out in the middle of nowhere.
She would just come and practice on her own, and there was nobody in the church, and she would sometimes hear noises and get totally creeped out and have to leave. So,
By the way,
I've never been in here at night.
anyone who sees that in the background is huge lightning right there in the distance. It's incredible. So yeah, you've never been here at night?
Not this late.
There's a cemetery literally right here, right behind the church where my grandpa's actually buried. And we're doing this in an effort to investigate our theory that hauntings are not confined to places where people died. They can be places where people spent a lot of time, where energy has been imprinted. And if you are religious, this is a place where you come to connect with your spirituality, and people would come every Sunday of their lives if they lived out here, and then eventually, what the hell? Why is it doing that? Well, they'd do this every week. They'd repeat this action. They'd come to this one other place. They'd leave their farm only a couple of times a week, and they'd come here to this church, and then eventually they would die and be buried literally right here behind the church. So if there's a place where their energy has been stored and or imprinted, I should say, I would feel like it would be this church. It's a very creepy church. So without further ado, let's go see if this place has anything spooky associated with it. So like I said before, this is just a normal church. We're here because people spent every Sunday here basically for their entire lives. And I feel like that creates an energy imprint. And we're going to see if a regular church with no deaths has anything to say so many years later. I wanted to do an investigation here. Like in a church, I should say. But I've never been given the chance.
That's supposed to be like the everlasting light that goes all the time.
Yeah, it was on today.
Mm-hmm. Is anybody here that was went to school or attended the church. This is
You wanna read from
Mary. I went to church here growing up. Sunday school, confirmation, my entire family went to church here, and some of them still do. I love this church. We're not being disrespectful.
So many just movements. Hard to tell what they all are. I personally feel like there's a very heavy energy in here. I feel just very... like there are a lot of people that spent their lives around here and in this area. Someone's been in here today.
We're right here, Colin.
I said someone's been in here today.
What do you mean?
We're in here today. The piano is open because I was touching the keys. And the piano is shut. Yeah, look at. Someone came in and just randomly shut this. They didn't touch these other ones. Weirdly enough, I didn't touch these either. It's just this one that I was trying to play. This is your last chance to say anything. We are about to leave. Any members of the congregation, pastors, and the light's still on. Didn't shut off again. So here are all these tombstones and gravestones. And all these people that are buried here went to church every Sunday, right up there in that church. I feel like that's definitely left an energy imprint. So I'm not gonna lie, that small amount of time that we just spent in the church was one of the most intense energies that I've ever felt in any of these investigations. It was just intense. It was not scary. It was just there. It was like you can feel like going to church and being in this place for such a long time. Every Sunday you go to this church, you imprint the same energy, you think the same thoughts, you pray, and you try to connect with this spirit. That really stains the environment. And it's the original church. It's the church that these people have been going to this whole time. I don't know. It's just weird seeing all these people that died and they're buried right here in this peaceful area, and they went to church right there and they died and were buried right here, so their whole life is centralized in this area. If they left any energy in this world stained on some environment, it would be right here in this circle of land, square, whatever you want to call it, the area that they inhabited. So yeah, creepy. I'm out here alone in the cemetery walking around. I'm gonna go check out the energy at the farm, see if I can tap into that, and I guess call it a night on this one. So this is what you had that night?
This is it. I just kind of opened the door. Yeah, I heard some bangs outside the window.
This is my last night ever in our house. I'm here alone in the house. It's pitch black. I've turned out all the lights. I know you've always wanted something from me. So what was it that you wanted? The hell was that? Yeah, it's weird. It's like right here.
There's somebody here. She's been in this house probably for about a year. Can you help me?
You got a fresh scratch right there.
He was not a very nice guy. He was mean.
Can really, speak to him on his level and just tell him to get the hell out of here.